Jevon Le Roux, welcome to The Growth Concept.
Yeah, awesome, Keone. Great to be on your podcast. I'm really excited to throw out a couple answers to some awesome questions and have a
Yeah,
good
amazing.
conversation.
For sure. Well, we'll be diving well deeper than just answers today. So, you are the founder and CEO, co-founder of Keeyu AI, which is incredible, man. This is an unreal discovery and transformation for yourself. But beyond these titles and everything you achieved is a human. You're a human. I'm a human.
Yeah.
We all have these experiences and stories which make us human. So I'd like to dive into the person beyond an entrepreneur, Jevon. I would like to hear some stories from, it could be your surfing days, your startup days, or your school days. I would love to know some personal stories which you wouldn't usually say on a podcast episode, but I'm so keen to get into behind the brand.
As in the brand of me or the brand Keyu.
Both.
But yeah, so I think one of the key memories is when I'd finished high school. I dropped out of high school to go on the world tour, wrote two exams throughout the other four, and I was like, no, I want to go to Hawaii. You know, that was like 1994, so a long time ago, and there was no internet. There was no internet. There was definitely no social media, right? And so at that time, South Africa had just come out of apartheid. It was isolated. My sponsor was Billabong. Went across to Hawaii, had a bunch of surfboards, and was sleeping on the floor somewhere. Got one of those things where you get the bed bugs, like
Oh no.
paying $10 a day to stay in this house with 50 other people, sleeping on the ground, on a little foam mattress. And I think I went across with like 8 surfboards,
Wow.
and I broke 7, and I only had one left. And that one was, this is a good story. So, like, that one was a really short board that wasn't meant for Hawaii. It was meant for Australia, where I was before. And it was my last day in Hawaii. The waves were super good at this place. I couldn't not go surfing, even though the board wasn't right. I was like, no, I'm just going to paddle out there. And the thing is that board performed actually really well in those waves. And I didn't realize it with a lot of photographers on the beach. A bunch of them got photographs. And that photograph ended up at the Billabong offices in America. And that was my sponsor. And that photo they didn't know who it was because I was like South African, no one knew, never been overseas. And that photograph ended up in a Billabong ad in America without a name, on Billabong t-shirts. And it was like, who is this guy? Like, no one knew. To cut a long story short, Bob Hurley was the founder of, he was running Billabong in America at the time. I got to build a relationship with him because of that. And then a couple of years later, I left Billabong to launch Hurley in South Africa and built that ground up. And because of that, because of dropping out of high school, because of going to Hawaii, because of sleeping on the floor, because of breaking all my boards, because of only having one left and paddling out and it being a great performance board, it led to me building a relationship with the founder of Hurley. And 10 years
Wow.
later, it became an opportunity for me to build Hurley in South Africa. Of course, he wouldn't have gifted me that opportunity just because, that backstory. I had to demonstrate the skills to do it. But I always see that as a sort of pivotal moment where these bunch of things happened that built a foundation for me that has led to where I am as an entrepreneur today.
Insane. So you started surfing very young, or was it you started surfing a bit older?
No, super young. I think I started surfing when I was 7. I remember my dad buying my first surfboard for my 7th birthday. And straight out the gate, I was highly competitive and
Wow.
surfed in competitions and like all the time. And I absolutely love competing. Just love competing, right? And I mean, surfing's a beautiful sport and it's a great thing, but like competing's super fun. Losing's not, winning's good. And that definitely built a foundation of a real significant foundation around being ultra competitive, having to build yourself from a marketing perspective, get out on the road. I learned a lot of skills in my early 20s as a result of being a professional surfer. But, I wanted that was like, it was great, but I wanted to build out a career. And that's how I ended up sort of shifting out of being a professional surfer and going into working for my sponsor as a sales agent, then giving that up to build Hurley, the Nike surfwear brand. And then, a few decades have passed.
Insane. So, how old were you when you got sponsored compared to when you started? How many years had you been surfing?
I think I got sponsored when I was 10. And I remember my first sponsor was a brand called Island Style. There was a brand called Island Style, and then I always wanted to be sponsored by Billabong. That was in the early 90s. It was just the coolest brand in the whole world.
Yeah.
And I got turned down a bunch of times. And I remember walking down the beach at the South African Championships, and the owner of Billabong in South Africa was collecting shells on the beach, and she said, "How are things going?" And I said, "Well, I'm paddling out for the finals." She said, "Well, if you win it, I'll sponsor you." And I won it.
No pressure.
No pressure. And that's sort of how that kicked off that journey. Just, yeah, picking up shells, get to meet me. How you going? No, I'm paddling out for the final. Win it, I'll sponsor you. Won it. And I think I was 10 or 11. Yeah.
Was it just convenient? Like, was it just a chance that you ran into the owner of Billabong to get this opportunity, or was there more building of that relationship over time?
No, it was just I think she knew who I was because of the competitive scene, and but I got turned down by the person that was managing the team multiple times. Tried to apply and got turned down. But it was that opportunity where I bumped into her when she was collecting shells on the beach. That sort of led to said, "Isn't life like really interesting? You're only one decision or one situation
Exactly.
away from a completely different life."
It spins me out as well, like looking back at like past events, and it's like if I didn't like meet this person, I wouldn't have started this podcast or something
Yeah, yeah.
crazy pivotal like that. When you were in school, were you a very sporty kid or were you not so sporty?
I was very sporty, and so I competed as at a national level for swimming in South Africa, set records, competed in biathlon, cross country, surfing. So I was like a very sporty guy, but I was super, what's the word? Problematic also, as every teenager is. I was a bit of a handful, and this high school I went to was an Afrikaans high school, very strict, and uh, I had a standing appointment at the headmaster's office every Wednesday at a certain time for a caning, because it wasn't if I was going to do something wrong, it was you come present yourself and we'll decide if it's 2, 4, 6 canings, right? Like proper caning, right? So that went on for about, I don't know, a year.
What
When I
did you
moved to that
do
high school.
to get something like that?
Well, you got to know what South Africa was like then. Caning was like a completely acceptable way to discipline someone, right?
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's
So
just
you
stuff like, um, cutting open the inside of your blazer and sticking a textbook so you could have cheat notes during the exam. Stuff like that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously you dropped out of school. Was it year 10 or before
No,
that?
I was doing what is the equivalent. It's called matric in South Africa, HSC. Yeah. I wrote 2 exams and then went to Hawaii. So I skipped 4 exams. But, I've made up for that because in 2006, I did a postgrad in business administration based on my sort of like business develop skills. And then in 2016 and 17, I did an executive master's in business administration in Paris for a year and a half. So, like, I've kind of made up for being a high school dropout by doing a postgrad and exec master's in business administration. Yeah,
Interesting, interesting. So you left school and you knew you wanted to become a pro surfer.
yeah, 100%. That's
Hell
all
yeah.
I obsessed about when I was in high school. Like I'd get these magazines with the world tour schedule, and I'd get these videos, and that was about the world tour. And it's like all I wanted to do when I finished high school is travel the world, be a professional surfer.
Amazing. Were your parents okay with this?
100%. Yeah, super
Hell yeah.
supportive. Yeah, super supportive.
Did they have resistance of, because obviously a lot in society, as you know, it's that school, uni, full-time job, that kind of process. With you taking a different approach, did that raise alarm bells or resistance to what you were doing?
Nothing. They were totally, totally like they knew how much I loved surfing. They knew how much I loved competing, and they saw that as a career path opportunity. And
Mm.
without that foundation, I wouldn't have worked for my sponsor, Billabong, as a sales agent. I would have cut my teeth. I wouldn't have launched Hurley in South Africa, the Nike surfwear brand, and I wouldn't have built up that business background if I hadn't had that foundation.
Did you ever have a backup plan during this process, or was it all or nothing?
What, as in the professional surfing into business?
Yeah.
Uh, um, I was just a life experience, right? But I knew when it came to term, I was like, oh, great, now I'm going to start working. And it was like, that's it. And just started building a career.
So did you stop surfing to pursue more of the business side of the sport?
No, I kept surfing, different levels of intensity, depending on how much requirement work needed. But kept surfing and uh, did pull back a lot, to be honest. And you kind of made me feel a bit sad about that right now, to be honest.
Oh no, man. Did you ever surf pipeline? I've heard
Yeah,
great
yeah,
things. What
yeah,
was the
yeah.
most craziest experience surfing these waves in Hawaii?
I've probably had more intense experiences in South Africa at a wave called Dungeons. It's in shark-infested waters, and it gets nothing short of 20, 40, 50, 60 feet when it's on.
Wow.
Any big waves out there at like 60 feet, like really, really big waves. And that was probably one of the most intense experiences of my life. Yeah.
Wow. Would you say there's more sharks in Australia or in Africa?
I think it's similarly intense. Similarly
Wow.
intense. Yeah.
Did that ever scare you at all, or were you kind of just,
No,
oh, if it happens, it happens?
yeah, I think that's how you said. I mean, look, I certainly did encounter sharks a few times. There was no doubt.
Wow.
Um, a couple times, and where I saw them on the reef or skipped over them when I was tow surfing,
What?
or in the waves coming at me. So there was a few of those experiences. I think three of them actually. Yeah.
What? Tell me more. Was it like I I surf as well, and I've had scares of like fins coming towards me, and then
Yeah.
uh fin hit my mate, and he fell off his
Yeah.
board. But it turns out they were just dolphins. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
us in the moment were like sharks. They're coming to kill us, and it was the
Yeah.
most scariest thing ever. Was it something like that for you, or was it a bit different?
No, I think none of those times. Okay, look, I saw the shark on a reef. I got stuck there because the water washed away. And I wasn't in danger. So I was like, oh, let's just keep surfing.
Wow, that's incredible. And then from Hawaii, leading into more of your business ventures into Kiyu AI, did
It's not Keeyu AR. Just want to like correct that. We don't like using the term AR for our product. We're
okay,
more around a
apologies,
system of no, no, no. We're more around a system of action. So we like
100%.
our system takes actions. Like the, I think the term AI is it doesn't really. We already feel like it doesn't mean a lot. Like it's like oh AI. It's
It's very
eventually just going to
general.
become how. Yeah, it's like when software got launched. No, people like, oh, we're such and such software, and then the word software dropped away. It just became ubiquitous, right? And
Mm.
I think that's where the term AI will go. It'll just be like, oh, it's built in all products. So
Yeah, good
yeah.
point. Good point. So then from Hawaii, where did Kiyu come into this? Obviously, it was a lot more
Oh, there's a
downstream.
long, long journey. I mean, it took me competing as a professional surfer. Took me to working for Billabong as a sales agent. took me to launching Hurley, the Nike surfwear brand. That then took me to Paris to do the executive MBA. That brought me to Australia, and then that took me through a bunch of different senior leadership roles as a CEO for either turning around brands, scaling brands. So I've had a really interesting career where I've worked as a sales agent, built a company ground up as with my own capital, which was Hurley in South Africa. Uh, been the divisional director for a chain of coffee retail stores,
Wow.
800 stores. Been the CEO of a large e-commerce brand, Surf Stitch. Then been the CEO of P Nation on a high sort of hyperscale growth conversation. So had not gone through that journey, the Keeyu thing fell out of me meeting my co-founders at PE Nation. We were all there in 2020, 2021, 2022, and that opportunity kind of led to us co-founding Keeyu a few years later. It took a while for us to figure out the problem. In fact, we had left PE Nation and gone somewhere else. And when we went to that business, Papinel, and we're trying to fix it, is when we realized if we're trying to fix the same problem that we had built a sort of MVP before, why couldn't we just build this as a company that then solves the problem for all e-commerce brands? So it's been a journey. As you can see, I'm Gen X, so a couple decades to get
That's
across that.
amazing. So what is the mission for Keeyu?
Two things. We believe that in the future, no shopper will ever have anxiety when they hit the buy button. They'll never have to reach out to a brand and ask where their order is, and there will no longer be help desks because the complaint will be prevented.
So is it
in the future, no customer will ever have to reach out to a brand and say, "Where is my order?" Because we'll fix the ops issue in real time before the customer ever knows and before the customer ever has to complain.
wow,
For that reason, you won't need a help desk.
amazing. And your personal mission, is that aligned with the business's mission or is it completely different?
When you say personal mission, like I just love building what I'm building, and I love the challenge of
That's so
every
good,
single
man.
day coming to work, and I'm like, oh, I've got to learn something. Like yesterday, I had a problem I was faced with, which is we've got a couple deals going through. We've got a whole bunch of deals going through the sales pipeline, and I lost one or two between closing the deal and then the decision maker signing off. And I was like, I've got to solve that problem. So I spent last night and this morning early building out like a RevOps pipeline in Manus AR. And it gives me like confidence that, oh, now I know we can solve for that problem. And I was faced with a problem yesterday, and it was like I had to take some thinking to go, well, this is what I got to do. And then having to learn how to build a RevOps pipeline. Like, I've never done that before. So every single day I'm like
Pipeline. Oh,
revenue operations
yeah.
to manage the pipeline so you close deals more efficiently. And I'm constantly, as a co-founder of an early stage startup, we're constantly, not just me, but my co-founders, we're constantly faced with situations where we don't have the answer. Like we don't know in the moment. And then we have to figure out how we're going to, and that's the beauty of building a company from nothing. Like each and every single day, you're like, what's today going to bring? What challenge am I going to face? How am I going to overcome that? How am I going to keep momentum going? How are we going to, keep these sort of wins ticking over? And I think my co-founders and I have got a real simple motto. If we can do it today, we're one day ahead of tomorrow. Like if you can do it today, you're
That's good.
one day ahead of time. And the concept of compounding interest,
Yeah.
it's apparently the seventh wonder of the world. We believe, that doing something today versus tomorrow is like compounding interest. Because if you do more things today than you could tomorrow, that means you're ahead of winning, right? Ahead of achieving what you want to achieve. And that's how we're building.
Incredible. I want to talk about the process of you finding your founders, how you
founders.
found your co-founders. Yes,
Yeah,
at PE Nation.
yeah,
So, did you work with these people at the time,
yeah,
or
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So
Yeah. I
with
was a yeah. Go for it.
so with finding these people and realizing that I'm going to go into business or having this conversation with them, how important was it to team up with people that had the same vision as you? Did you find that important?
Actually, well, we didn't team up for about another 3 years from when we first met each other at PE Nation. Tracy was leading customer service and ops. Tahir was leading technology, and I was the CEO there. And we built up a really good foundation. And I remember having a chat with Tahir one day saying, I've had a whole bunch of great ideas, uh, technology ideas, like the prop to solve a problem, but I've never had the technique experience. And so one day would you ever consider co-founding a business if we had the right technical problem to solve? And he's like, yeah, sure. And it took about 3 years plus, I think more 3 or 4 years. We had left there, gone somewhere else. And I remember Tahir saying one day, "Oh, I want to build this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." Like just straight out the gate, I'm in. I want to
Wow,
build this with you.
why is that?
Oh, because I just instantly knew the problem we're solving was going to change customer service forever.
I know in a lot of situations when people go into business with people like in partnerships, contractors agreements, all that, it can get very, very hairy if you go in with the wrong person. Did you ever make this mistake in the past to know what to look out for?
This one's different. They say the only ship that's likely to sink is a partnership.
I've never heard of that, but that makes
Yeah.
so much sense.
So yeah, I had when I built Hurley, the Nike surfwear brand, I didn't have a great experience with a minority shareholder that I brought in, and he wasn't a co-founder. It didn't end well, and I wanted to be sure to avoid that ever again because once people own shares, that's it. It's like marriage. But with Tracy and Tahir, we just had a real solid um, passion for solving this problem and then not having conflicting skills. Each individually brought something to the table that's a good mix. When you've got a co-founding team that's, say, two engineers, it's a little more difficult because who's the person selling? Who's the person that's raising money? Who owns go to market? You've got two technical co-founders. Who's going to own go to market? And so with us, we've got complementary skills. And I think that's been our secret sauce. Tahir's the technical co-founder. Tracy's the subject matter expert. I'm great at building brands and driving revenue and raising money with investors. So we got this complementary set of skills, and that makes it so much easier because we're not stepping on each other's toes. We just head down delivering what we have to the overall mission.
When you say that one of your strengths is driving revenue, building brands, and raising money from investors, is that more of the communication aspect
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
yeah? What
Having a
does
good
this look
narrative
like?
and yeah, I must admit it took me a while to land the narrative. Like we've been at it for 2 years, building for 2 years, and it's just an evolution. But storytelling in a startup is absolutely paramount, and I couldn't quite understand it in the beginning. But getting your narrative super tight, super simple, in language that your can understand, critical, and simplifying your message, taking complex situations, turning them to a clear message, and investors really place a high value on that pitching, on that narrative, because if you can't do that, how are you going to get customers? How are you going to get employees to sign in for your vision? So, as a CEO in a startup, that ability to drive a solid narrative to inspire customers to want to join, sign up, or inspire employees to want to sign up is paramount. Absolutely critical.
Getting the narrative right is essential based on what I've gotten from what you've said. How do I understand my narrative and construct it in a way where I can pitch it to grandma so she understands?
Regarding you yourself personally for your business?
In general, but I guess how would someone go through the process of understanding their narrative?
Well, what problem are you solving? Like that's the first thing. So if you're building a startup, what's the problem you're solving? What problem are you solving? And why is it you to solve that problem? And what is your solution for that? Like that's the first three things. Does the problem exist? Are you the right person to solve it? And how are you going to solve it? First three things you have to communicate. If you can't do those three things, it's a non-starter. And that is ensuring that one, you're able to synthesize that in a single sentence. And that's really hard. It's to take, I'm solving this problem. This is why I'm good at solving it, why I can solve it. And this is the solution that is going to solve that problem. And then the next thing is to say, is there a why now? Like, what is the why now? Like, why is this problem got to be solved now? Or how can it be solved now? And why hasn't it been solved before? So I think it's those four things and getting those down to 50 words at best.
Do you have one that you have for Keeyu?
It changes every. Help desk manage complaints, Keeyu prevents them.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. It's kind of like a business mission statement that you would have like on a sign or something.
Yeah.
So,
And then if we talk about the problem, like 1 in 5 online shoppers didn't get what they want on time as promised last year in Australia. And 80% of them churned to another brand, and that cost Australian businesses $13 billion in lost revenue. So that's the problem, right?
yeah.
That's the problem. And then how do you drive the solution? Well, if we can detect the reason why that complaint is going to happen and then fix it in real time before the customer knows, the complaint vanishes.
Mm. So when your process of identifying the narrative, that mission statement for the business, so what problem do you solve? And then the second point you said was why me?
Yeah.
What
Why have we got the skill set to be able to solve this? One, the skill set, and why do we have the tenacity to solve it? And I think that's absolutely critical. Like I learned really quick when you're out raising money, for example, investors want to know how how much tenacity do you have to remain committed to solving this problem? Because it gets really dark.
mm,
Like building a business from nothing can get really dark because the days you wake up and you're really struggling to see the green shoots. Looks like the Sahara Desert, and you're like, where are the green shoots? And you've got to stay completely focused, and you've got to be able to warp your mind to believe that what you're building will eventually become a success. And I don't think any sane person signs up for it willingly.
100%. So then the question you ask, why me, when you are pitching to potential investors or sponsors, how do you say, oh, I'm dedicated. This is my absolute passion. Like I imagine heaps of other people say. How do you go deeper and really demonstrate that I'm the one who's meant to be doing this?
Show them through your past actions and have a really bold vision. Like it's that simple,
Mm.
What have I done till now that sets me up to be able to solve this problem? And what did I say I was going to do, and have I delivered on it? And how big does the vision look? And on that basis, am I the person to solve that big problem? And if you think about it this way, Keone, for us, we want to replace the help desk. We believe the help desk will never exist in the future.
Mm.
That's a pretty bold vision. Like it's been around for 20 years and every business relies on it, and we believe it shouldn't exist. So when you've got a bold vision like that, then how what's your context, what's your background to be able to make that become a reality, and do you have the tenacity? And I think tenacity just shows around how hard you work to get to where you are.
Did you ever have trouble pitching this side of you to investors or sponsors for your startup?
100%. 100%. Like I remember last year going into a really big pitch, and I got it wrong. Like absolutely got it wrong. And we walked out, and we got an email, and they were like, "You were so close, but
What?
you didn't. We didn't see the conviction. We didn't see the burn. We didn't see the." I was like, "You're right," because I felt it myself. Like it wasn't, "Oh, what an arsehole for saying that." No, I felt it. I felt I didn't step up to the plate, and now I've had to, instead of being reserved, be really clear about how hard we're working to solve this problem and how much we care about it. Like we care about the customer at the end of the day, and our customer, we
Mm.
care that people don't have a great shopping experience, and so we're just hell bent on solving it.
Wow. Okay. So I'm picturing this, I'm like trying to imagine you pitching this. Was it like you just didn't bring the way you worded it? Was it more energy? Like you just may have not been feeling it on the day?
Like it was, I didn't put enough effort into saying, not so much saying, but like uh, showing a level of commitment that I have to do everything in my power to make this succeed. It just wasn't there. And we walked out of that meeting, got the feedback, and you know what? The next day, I punched out like a 20-hour day or something crazy to figure out how it is that I'm going to take that feedback and use it as burning energy. And that's what you got to do. Like that's the competitive side. Like I remember when we had decided we want to build Keeyu. We'd quit our jobs and we went out to, this is 2 years ago, a bit more than 2 years ago, and we pitched to a really well-known e-com founder that had exited their business for $600 million, and they were considered to be an e-com expert. And we did the pitch, and he goes, "You can't solve this problem. It's too systems are too fragmented. It can't be solved." And I walked out. I said to my co-founders, "That's not a reason why. That's not a reason we can't solve it. It's a reason why it should be solved. Because if that
Wow.
pain point is so bad that it can't be solved, that's a reason it should be solved." And 2 years later, we remind each other around the room, like, "Hey, we got 30 plus customers now, and we got like 30 plus in the pipeline that are loving the problem we're solving." And 2 years ago, a really experienced ecom founder said it can't be solved. And we said it should be solved. Not it can't be solved, it should be solved if it can't be solved. And so I think it's just having that clear mindset. But the real validation is, uh, 2 years ago, someone said it can't be solved. 1 month ago, biggest help desk solution in the world, Zendesk, tried to poach my staff. And they were like, "No, we're not going to go work for the company that's trying to copy what we're doing. We
Yeah.
want to work for the company that's innovating." So it's taking that that someone saying it can't be done and turning it into your burning mission to keep moving forward.
Unreal. So did you second guess yourself during this time?
Look, there's been certainly been moments where we're like, are we gonna actually keep moving forward? Like, is it? But I remember one day turning to my co-founders and said, "Okay, we've had a few knocks. Like last year, January, we had one customer in the pipeline. We had just had a failed product launch, Shopify. We were running out of runway, and I turned to my co-founders and said, 'Are we going to throw the towel in? Like, are we going to go get consulting jobs?' And we all looked at each other and said, 'No, let's keep building
Wow.
because let's keep building because we're just passionate about fixing this problem, right?" And that's why I say you've got to be somewhat crazy, because who would be considering founding a company and some big shot says it can't be done, it can't be solved? And you're like, "Well, I'm going to go against your
Watch me.
wisdom. I'm going to go against your wisdom." It takes a real,
Mm.
it's, yeah. Like, I don't think we ever doubted ourselves. I just think at times we were like, there is a big mountain to climb. And we got a long way to go. Like I was saying the other day, A year ago, there were no employees. This year, we got 15 employees. And a year from now, we might have 150. And it's like, well, how are we going to go from this to that? What is it
Mm.
going to look like? What's that path going to look like?
Unreal. Congratulations, man. This is incredible seeing it all pan out from obviously your surfing days, coming up, finding this opportunity, and then going all in, and then screwing up these pitches, having to readjust, re-ground yourself. With screwing up this pitch in front of this big investor, what did you need to change moving forward to be able to close more deals, sign more contracts? Because this is your skill set specialty.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I will say this. After we raised the middle of last year, and look, you get a lot of no's. Like investors, it isn't their job to say yes; it's their job to say no. Like they say no more than they say yes. Like that's just the reality, right?
Yeah.
Um, but what did we have to do? I realized that I had a grounding in sales and marketing in my 20s as a sales agent, but that was taking orders. It wasn't generating revenue. And after we closed out the round, or while we were closing out the round, I understood clearly that I needed coaching from someone that understood software sales. And so I hired a go-to-market coach out in New York
Hmm.
and signed up for 3 months. And every week he took me through his system and shared with me how it is you run a sales funnel, how you get prospects into a sales funnel, how you nurture them, how you close a deal. And I remember him saying to me, look, you need to record your discovery sessions and send them to me, or your demos or your closing calls, send them to me. And at that moment, I had no customers in the sales pipeline. And he's like, well, that means you need to get on the phones and start calling, and start emailing and doing all these things. Now, it's funny, those investors that passed on us had said, I don't see the passion to generate the revenue. Like these guys, it looks like these guys expect the customers are going to fall in their lap. And I took
Yeah.
that and I was like, okay, now I've got to do everything, like everything, and learn all these new things. And I just threw myself into that through that coaching process. And I remember another founder in Australia, the founders of Lorikeet, went through the same coaching program. And I sent a message to the founder of Lorikeet, what should I do? And he said, whatever whatever Darren, the coach, tells you to do it. Like, don't question him. Don't just do it. If it doesn't make any sense, just keep doing it. Yeah,
Did
and
it?
it's turned out great. So, yeah, go for
No,
it.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I jumped in there. It certainly changed things. Like I went from taking orders to driving revenue because I learned a system. And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you're a founder of a startup, even though I'm a Gen X, every single day I'm having to learn something new. Every single day.
Wow. Okay. So even though I'm Gen Z, I'm still in the same boat. In this day and age, it's like 50 million things. Boom, you got to learn, adapt, especially with having wearing all the caps as a startup. With getting this training from this sales guy, what was the biggest learning curve from that? Because you worked in sales before, but not generating that revenue.
I think always understanding the system, the process of taking a customer through a sales funnel. Uh, and I had the first year and a half of building Keeyu, all I wanted to do was show my product. And I didn't take any time to understand the customer and understand their pain and understand their business. And then sort of just weave in our solution into their pain. And so that was a
Mm.
big unlock for me that the sales process starts with a discovery call. The sales process starts with understanding the customer, understanding their business, understanding their pain points. Then the next call, and not selling in the first call, then the next call is, hey, we have the solution. I heard you say these are your pain points. This is how we can solve for it. And that was the biggest learning curve for me is listening, not pitching.
So, does that look like really finding what the ideal success is from this potential client and tailoring the service package to what their ideal version of success looks like?
Yeah, I think it's Obviously we're selling a product that solves a problem, right? So it's understanding what their pain point is and understanding what their problem is, understanding if they could wave a magic wand, what would that fix be like, and then weave in the narrative of what we're selling as a
Mm,
solution and the benefits that it brings them. So what value are they going to get out of this offering that we have to as the magic wand?
such a great point, Jevon. So I got a couple last questions for you to wrap up
Yeah.
this conversation. So I've gotten a few questions from the listeners that have wanted to
Wow.
ask you a couple of questions. So I'm going to start there. I'm just going to grab my phone. A couple of the questions were, what is biggest thing about what to do when things don't succeed as quick as you thought?
I just say keep doing things. Like, don't stop doing things. The second you stop doing, you don't have momentum, and don't second guess yourself when you do things, because you're going to fail. You're going to get things wrong, and just keep doing things. And as long as you're doing more good things than bad things, you're moving forward. And so my sort of advice to that is don't freeze.
Keep moving.
Don't Just keep moving. Just keep doing things. Don't freeze.
I love that. I love that. And I got two more questions from the people tuning into this episode. How can we prepare for AI? How can we prepare for how AI will become in the next few years as an online coach?
If you're not, if, I was actually having a chat with one of my software engineers yesterday. He was working late, and I said, "Why are you working so late?" He says, "Well, I'm waiting for my AI to keep coding for me, and it's taking longer than I thought." And he was just
Wow.
sitting in the chair. And so we had a chat around, is AI going to take people's jobs? And I said, no, people who don't use AI will lose jobs to people who are using it. And so the way I see it is AI is not likely to displace, like decimate the job market. It's going to augment people to be able to do less manual repetitive stuff and deliver better outcomes faster. And that's how we sell Keeyu. We're selling. We're not here to replace the customer service team. We're here to empower customer or augment them so they're doing less manual repetitive work and focused on positive customer conversations.
Good point. What's the best advice to close a sale for a service-based business? I guess this goes back into the narrative, but how would
Yeah,
you
I
answer this?
think I think bring it back to, like, when you're coming to the end, it's bringing it back to, hey, when we connected, this is what you said is your pain point. Have what I've shown you. Does it solve for that? And bringing them back and reminding them of that pain, and then showing them the new way, the new future. Certainly, it's not offering a discount. It's like, hey, bringing them into the emotional playing at. Uh, you've seen how we can automate this. We've seen how we can do this. Whatever it is, I've shown you. You've acknowledged it. Do you want to continue without this new world, without this new future? Because that's what's going to, it's almost like, hey, you don't want to pass this up because it's going to be a tough, tough, tough run for you.
So the way to close a sale as a service-based business is to
Draw them back to the old way and link it back to the new way.
more of like that gap analysis type thing where you
Yeah.
are here and you want to be here and that process in between.
And we can get you there. But do you want to stay there? No, you don't want to stay there. Who wants to stay there? No one wants to
Exactly.
stay in the past.
Good point. I guess that would work well when you're dealing with a client that is resistant to change or is so narrow minded. And it's like, look, man, like visually see this. Do you want to stay where you are or do you want to take this to the next level? And I can help with that.
Yeah, there's some people that just can't. Like, I get onto sales calls and I just know instantly this person thinks they know everything. And that taking them on the journey, showing them a new way, is going to make a difference. They got all the answers. They don't think they're doing anything wrong, and they don't need anyone to help them. You just got people like that. Then you got people that are genuinely curious and are just receptive to evolution. And I don't quite know how to turn people that aren't. looking for a solution to that they just believe that they've got, they're, you know, they fight perfume, piss champagne, like they're just perfect, right? They got it totally nailed. I don't know how to turn those people, and I think that's a skill I have to learn because I do face them sometimes. I do face them, and I just don't know how to do that.
Just knowing how to draw the line and be like, okay, this isn't for you.
This isn't for you. And we do that a lot. When we go through the discovery process, I go, look, this isn't a great match. I don't think we can help you guys. That is part of the sales process of saying no sometimes.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how did it change the way you live or lead your life today?
I'm going to take it back to something I said earlier. The best bit of advice I got was my grandfather said, just keep making decisions. Don't freeze. Like that was probably some of the best advice I got. And I did mention it earlier, but it is the one that stands out for me. Don't freeze. Keep making decisions. Keep moving forward. Best advice I ever got because, you know, yeah, it's the difference between success and failure.
Keeping that 1% movement every single day.
Exactly.
Love that.
Precisely.
What's the hardest truth you've had to face about yourself to become the person you've needed to be? And what did that truth require for you to let go? This is deep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hardest truth I had to face was coming to the realization that I can be polarizing in achieving outcomes. Like the hardest truth is like I've got this ability just to warp, flex the world to believe in an outcome, but sometimes I get so caught up in the outcome I can't see the journey to it, and I get ultra frustrated with people that can't see that future and aren't bought into it. And it was a really hard truth to come to terms with that I get frustrated when people just don't want to move at the pace that I'm moving. And that causes me to be a bit polarizing.
When you say polarizing, is that blunt or straight to the point?
Uh, you're either going to hate me or love me.
It can't be everyone's favorite, right?
Can't be everyone's favorite. And I've had to get really comfortable with that. That yeah, that drive sometimes some people just don't like drive.
Yeah, you can't be
That was a
everyone's favorite.
that was a
That was
really
good.
deep question. That was
That
a
was
really
good,
deep
man.
question.
That was good. I enjoyed that, and I could relate to that too. Like having such a growth-driven mind. If you're with someone who isn't as fast-paced, it can have some resistance and some drag, and then that can result to, as you said, like frustration, being polarized type thing.
Yeah, yeah. I certainly learning about yourself as you building and growing a business is an important part.
Mm.
Understanding where you're getting things wrong and getting things right.
Such a great point. Jevon Le Roux, thank you so much for coming onto the growth concept. I've enjoyed this conversation. I've gotten a lot from it. My notebook is full,
Look at that.
which is incredible.
Notebook, not a note taker.
100%, 100%. So thank you so much, Jevon.
Awesome, Coney. Have a good day, man.